Let's get right into it. Today, in this explainer, we're looking at the wild, almost unbelievable story of how two broke college kids accidentally built an absolutely untamed digital empire. It's a platform that holds, honestly, unparalleled cultural influence. But the crazy part is, it's sitting on a completely fragile foundation. We're talking rapid innovation, huge wealth, immense tragedy, and a non-stop tug-of-war for control.
So here's the central paradox we're exploring today. Who really controls the front page of the internet? Think about it. Is it the corporate executives writing millions of dollars in checks to keep the servers running? Or is it the totally unpaid army of users and volunteer moderators who actually create and manage every single piece of content? Keep that in the back of your mind, because as we track this platform's evolution, you're going to see this exact battle play out over and over again.
Part 1. The front page is born.
You know, it's actually incredible how accidental the birth of Reddit really was. Back in 2004, founders Alexis, Ohanian, and Steve Huffman were originally pitching a mobile food ordering app called My Mobile Menu. But remember, this was the era of flip phones. The tech just wasn't there yet. So after getting a pretty harsh rejection, legendary investor Paul Graham gave them some advice in 2005. He said, pivot, build something for web browsers instead. That pivot became a simple web aggregator. And then by late 2005, they needed some serious programming muscle, so they merged with another struggling startup founder, a brilliant 19-year-old programmer named Aaron Swartz.
But here's the million-dollar question. How do you get people to visit a site that relies 100% on user content when you literally don't have any users? Well, the founders used a classic fake-it-till-you-make-it strategy. They actually created hundreds of fake accounts and posted content themselves just to keep the pages from looking completely blank. Basically, they were acting as their own community until, slowly but surely, real users started finding the site and submitting their own links. It was the digital equivalent of priming a pump. And man, did it work.
Part 2. The Aaron Swartz Tragedy. Now, just over a year after launching, the story takes a massive turn. The media giant Condé Nast swooped in and actually bought Reddit for somewhere between $10 and $20 million. Suddenly, Alexis, Steve, and Aaron were millionaires practically overnight. But this huge corporate buyout, it created a very stark ideological rift. See, Alexis and Steve were ready to navigate the corporate world, but Aaron Swartz deeply opposed the idea of a giant media conglomerate controlling a platform that, in his eyes, needed to be the free, completely unfiltered voice of the people.
That clash in ideology ultimately led to Aaron being fired in 2007. His core philosophy was really clear. As his memorial site put it, he used his skills not to enrich himself, but to make the internet a fair, better place. So after Reddit, Aaron threw himself into internet freedom activism. But his pursuit of a totally open internet led to his arrest in 2011. He was charged regarding mass downloading academic journals from MIT with the intent of making them freely available to everyone. Facing up to 35 years in federal prison and dealing with crippling isolation, the 26-year-old tragically took his own life in 2013. It remains a profoundly somber chapter in the platform's history.
Part 3. The power of the crowd. Following that corporate takeover, the site's growth absolutely exploded. This was fueled by a new feature that allowed users to create their own sub-communities, which we now know as subreddits. But letting users run the show is a massive double-edged sword. On one side, you have this incredible capacity for good, right? Users are out there crowdsourcing massive charity funds, organizing the world's largest secret Santa exchanges. It's amazing. But then you flip the coin. Look at the aftermath of the 2013 Boston Marathon bombings. A totally unmoderated mob on a specific subreddit used wild speculation to falsely identify a missing college student, Sunil Tripathi, as the bomber. His grieving family was ruthlessly harassed before the real perpetrators were found, and Sunil was later tragically discovered dead. It really showcased the devastating, completely unchecked power of collective internet vigilantism.
Part 4. The CEO Revolving Door.
So, as you can imagine, with an unruly user base growing into the hundreds of millions, managing Reddit turned into an absolute nightmare of executive chaos. Just look at the timeline. In 2014, CEO Yishan Wang resigned, straight up citing the extreme personal stress of trying to balance free speech with corporate safety. Then, Ellen Pao stepped in. She implemented some much-needed anti-harassment rules, but immediately faced intense backlash from users who claimed it was censorship. It gets crazier. When a very popular employee, Victoria Taylor, was suddenly fired, the volunteer moderators literally shut down huge portions of the site in a massive blackout. All of this pressure culminated in a petition with over 160,000 signatures that forced Pao to resign in 2015, after just 7 months on the job. The community was, for all intents and purposes, completely ungovernable.
Part 5. The Great API Rebellion.
Eventually, original founder Steve Huffman returned as CEO to try and stabilize the ship. But jump forward to 2023, and the tension reached a total breaking point. This time, it was over the site's API, which is basically the back-end data pipeline. For years, third-party developers have been using this pipeline for free to build really popular alternate Reddit apps, like Apollo. But when Reddit announced they were going to start charging for this data, an absolute war erupted. Developers argued the new pricing, which Apollo estimated would cost them $20 million a year, was completely exorbitant and designed specifically to kill their apps. On the flip side, Reddit's executives argued that they were a business that still wasn't profitable. They basically said, look, we can't afford to pay massive back-end server costs just so third-party apps can extract our data and profit from it without showing our ads. Both sides had structurally valid, yet completely incompatible positions. So what happens when the Reddit community gets angry? Well, in protest of those API changes, volunteer moderators locked down over 7,000 subreddits. 7,000! They choked off the site's ad revenue and made huge swaths of the platform go completely dark. Now, Reddit did eventually force the subreddits to reopen and push the changes through anyway, but the sheer scale of that protest permanently fractured the trust between the executives and the community.
Part 6. Reddit's Ultimate Paradox.
We have officially reached an era where this chaotic power dynamic has moved way past just internet drama and is actually impacting global markets. Remember 2021? Users on the WallStreetBets subreddit banded together to buy up a heavily shorted stock, GameStop. They drove the price from under $3 to a staggering $483. By doing that, this decentralized, totally unpaid internet community literally cost Wall Street hedge funds billions of dollars. It proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that Reddit's user base wields this almost unimaginable collective kinetic energy. Think about it like this. For traditional media companies, users are consumers. You watch, you read, you consume. But for Reddit, the users are the product. They're the moderators, they're the content creators, and they're the quality control. It's the ultimate asset versus liability paradox. The unmanaged, voluntary labor that built the platform is the exact same entity that has the power to rebel, shut it down, or cause absolute public relations disasters. They're simultaneously the sole creator of the company's value and its absolute greatest threat to stability. And that leaves us with a massive, lingering question to close out our explainer today. Can a platform ever truly monetize a community built on rebellion? With over 430 million monthly active users, the executives definitely hold the keys to the servers, but the crowd holds the power of the culture. Until that tension is finally resolved, the monster they built will remain entirely untamed. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.